On this week's episode, I dive into the negatives of social media and the digital landscape and address whether or not we're becoming disjointed from genuine interactions. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to MugenCast. This week it's episode 23. Demetri Williams back in the studio, aka my desk in my room. Thank you guys for tuning back into MugenCast. Like I said, episode 23 this week. An interesting topic to be discussed in terms of the whole creativity realm. I'm really looking forward to discussing it. And yeah, it's been a pretty decent week since the last episode, and I'll do my regular recap. So been making some progress in the photo editing department. As you guys may have known, if you're paying attention to my Instagram or just listening to my podcast, you know that I was kind of trying to switch up the photo editing style, trying to get into some more post-processing. Because I've kind of realized post-processing is like the way of the future in terms of becoming a better photographer. It seems like that's like the way almost. Granted, genuine photography is obviously king, but post-process it just gives you so much creative licenses. Do what you want to do and create really cool images and just all different types of stuff, especially when it comes to like Photoshop, which is way beyond my skill level right now. I'm just messing around in Lightroom trying to keep it simple. But that's been going really well. Really been enjoying that. I actually posted a picture today. Today is the 22nd. Well, as I'm recording, it's kind of going into the 23rd. But anyway, of my friend Nate, which was kind of one of my first like super new editing style type pictures. And I got some decent feedback on it. Seems like people were liking it, so I'm gonna keep plugging forward with that. See how I can kind of balance the whole realism, but not too like basic thing, but edited, but not too edited. It's definitely a balance. It's so easy to go too far with editing and just make a picture just look like bleh. But that's been pretty cool. It's been a good week, like I said, but it's been so hot. I'm not sure where you guys live, but me living in PA, it's been like in the 90s or even like hundreds, I think it was today, which sucked because I was outside shooting some stuff, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, the weather has it's been like killing my creative vibe a little bit because it just makes me want to stay inside the house all the time and not go out and like, shoot and take videos and whatever. So that's been a little bit annoying to overcome. But like I was saying, I was filming today. I finally started filming for the next project that I've been talking about, I think for two podcasts now. I've been discussing this, but I started filming finally today. Me and Kevin went out and got some stuff done. We were out there probably for like 2.5 hours. So it was a solid day. So looking forward to getting that done, and then also have to meet up with some other homies, get some collaborations and stuff like that, and also for that same project. So, which is fun. I really like collaborating with other people, overlapping, kind of like creative ideas, and just being able to riff off other people is really dope. It's cool to have your own creative license to do whatever you want to do, but it's also nice to have the opinions of other people mixed in with that. So, it's a nice little switch up for me since this is my solo deal. Also, new content is going to be coming to the blog soon. I think I have maybe one or two people who are interested in maybe doing some writing for the blog, and posting their own kind of creative journeys on there as well. I think Jeffrey's going to be buying into it, which is going to be really cool. I'm going to be posting about his journey so far, what he has coming up next, et cetera, et cetera. I really wanted to make the blog kind of like a community space, almost for my little Mugen ecosystem I'm trying to nurture here. So people can go on there, post how they feel and just get a variety of content. Like I said just a second ago, I like collaborating with people. I like overlapping. And I like just being able to see where my creative journey and someone else's creative journey intersect. And even if it doesn't, just where they are, what they're doing. I get so curious. Quick tangent. I get so curious about like the state of other people's creativity, and not just due to jealousy, but I just wonder, like, are we going through the same things? Are we thinking the same way? And that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, to welcome in creatives to talk about the things that they may be going through, or the things that they feel that they can't share, with other people who may not understand or may not be interested, whatever. I just want to give those people a space that they can feel like, yeah, these people are very like-minded and they understand what it is and what I'm going through. So new stuff coming to the blog. So that's going to be really fun. Trying to think anything else I want to cover. Don't think so. Oh, also, I think I want to do some self portraits coming up this week. I haven't put myself on my Instagram page in a while, so should probably do that. Maybe just a little bit. But anyway, jumping into this week's creative topic, I wanted to discuss. It's hard to to really kind of define what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss reality and whether we're getting further and further away from it. And when I say reality, more in line with how much we're becoming immersed with social media and just digital content in general. And I know that sounds so hypocritical coming from someone who specializes in digital content and creating stuff for other people to view and spend their time on. But, is it becoming too much? Are we getting too much invested? Are we getting invested too much in TV shows and reality TV that's not actually reality TV? And social media and the like, and just all these things that aren't actually as real as we want them to be. Are we going too far with that? So to start it off, in a day and age where everyone aims for perfection, I feel like that's where we started to kind of lose touch with things that are truly real. Um, but everything is just so curated right now. It needs to be made public for others to see. You have to live your life in a way that is digestible to other people, or that can be consumed by other people. It has to almost be a product in a way. And when it turns into that, it's just not fun to live that way, honest. And I can say that from firsthand experience, honestly, being on the whole Instagram community, that it feels like you have to have everything so meticulously arranged and your theme has to be this way and this has to be that way, or it's just not interesting. You don't share a pic that you enjoyed because it didn't match your theme or it's not what's popular, etc. And I do that, like I said, I do that all the time on Instagram, and it feels so fake and artificial sometimes. It just it can get very frustrating. Like I said, reality TV allowing you to watch the daily lives of people, the quote unquote daily lives of people, in atmospheres and in I guess arenas, I guess I'll say, that aren't even truly real. I mean, those are just drummed up fictional kind of storylines of maybe these things are loosely based in reality, but it's not necessarily actually what's happening in the lives of these people. It's drummed up for the cameras, of course. I mean, it's obvious. People become just characters and memes rather than actual human beings. I mean, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Real Housewives of whatever. We more kind of see these people as just entities that are dancing on our screen rather than people who are actually, living out in front of us. And it's because that they're not really living genuine lives for us to see. That's why we start viewing them that way. And I'm not saying I'm blaming that on them, but that's how it starts. That's how that becomes developed. Also vloggers, which, like I said, almost like I'm being a little hypocritical here because obviously I post on my Instagram story all the time. And that's a form of almost, micro vlogging. But vloggers who are showing you every single days of their lives. I remember there was this one vlogging couple that I watched. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on their name right now. Can't remember, but they literally showed you every single day of their life, vlogging it from start to finish. Not that it was full 24 hours long. There's cuts, of course, but that just got. I can only imagine how exhausting that would be. But that's so weird, almost in a way, that we feel the need to share that much of our lives with people. And actually, that same vlogging couple broke up, and things didn't work out between them because it felt like their lives were always on display. There was no personal time for them, no personal growth for them, just singularly. It was always about what people will want to see rather than what's the truth, what's really real. And in my opinion, I think it's almost desensitizing to real humanity. You know what I mean? I feel like we don't care for those we see on media platforms for anything other than the content they give us. Like I said, there's just characters on the screen. It's not necessarily true people behind the keyboard or behind the screen. The real person, the real personality isn't what grabs the eyes and thus isn't worthy. People who are, and it's so stupid because there's now been a revolution where people who are really real and hard hitting and tell the truth and et cetera, are now being accepted for that because it's kind of like a fad. But when it comes to actually, but if those hard hitting moments and those truthful moments aren't sensationalized and can't grab the attention of people, if it's just people expressing the way they feel and might not be the most popular way to express their feelings, et cetera, they aren't really regarded as that great. It's more the people who can grab your attention with the outrageous things that they said to it's more the people that can grab your attention with the outrageous thing that they said more than the person who's actually trying to be genuine. If you get what I'm saying, I'm not maybe not explaining that in the best way, but it's frustrating when you see people curating their lives to hit on these certain points and these certain triggers for people that will get them more likes, get them more views, get them more whatever, and then you see people who are being genuine the way they're creating and the things they're putting out, and those people get just kind of looked over essentially. But I'm not trying to make this sound all bad. Like it's not all doom and gloom. It's cool how social media and digital platforms, etc., connect us. But I don't know. It just feels weird. One really pro of this whole thing is that I feel like I could have like a best friend who lives in like China, and it wouldn't even be weird. Like it's so easy to know so much about a person just through their online presence, and you really feel like you know them, and that's really amazing, honestly. I can video chat and can post pictures, I can share cool moments, etc. But like I'm saying, it becomes just too much sometimes. Essentially, I find myself consuming content almost in an effort to live that reality, or because I know that I can live that reality through that content. One where the sun is perfectly shining and life is just amazing all the time. You ever get the feeling that you say watch a show so much that you feel like you're almost in that show? You feel like you're one of the characters. You feel like you feel their ups, downs, etc. Um, but when you get used to having that readily available, going back to the regular day just kind of feels mundane. It can feel like it can make your life feel just very empty in comparison. At least this is kind of what I've experienced sometimes when you're so invested in something, whether it's a Netflix show or a creator who you're really interested in, an Instagram page, whatever. And then when you have to go back and kind of exit that, or even books, I've had this same effect with as well. But granted, people are on social media more than they read, unfortunately. But like I'm saying, when you have to pull yourself away from that other world, almost, it can make the world that you're coming back to here on planet Earth feel just very boring, and you wish it was as exciting as that content you were actually consuming, in whatever medium or form it was. Kind of crazy to think about that. Actual life could become stale, in comparison. And me personally, I've always had an overactive imagination. That's why this whole creativity field is perfect for me. Honestly, I want to be whoever I saw on the screen, but I think everyone is almost kind of becoming like is almost having that overactive imagination nowadays. More and more, I see it, and the more we embrace those false realities, the more we kind of lose the lives we actually live, whether that is good or bad. And sometimes I understand that, and once again, I feel like I'm being hypocritical by talking about this. But I understand that these mediums, these digital spaces we can exist in, are sometimes good. It's nice to be able to escape sometimes, just to get a break, because real life can just get very stressful sometimes. Let's be honest, and it's good to have that reprieve, to just kind of get away from things, center yourself, get your mind in order, whatever. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's just knowing that the real world that we have to come back to, we have to come back to at some point. These things that we're doing online, it's only real up to a certain point. And I think the lines are getting blurred more and more. And I think the genuine human interaction is being put on the back burner a little bit too much. Like I said, and which I probably said in almost every episode, life is about balance, balancing the false realities we may exist in with the real world that we actually exist in, where everything actually comes together. And I think that balance is being thrown out of whack in favor of the false reality. And we need to pay attention to that, at least just in my opinion. I think we need to pay attention to that a little bit more. Because when does it stop at that? Eventually, we aren't talking face to face anymore. We aren't truly going out to interact with people anymore. We just feel like what we can get behind a screen or behind a computer or a keyboard or whatever is good enough. We don't need that one-to-one interaction. Um, and like I said, there are there are pros to this. You can see a world that you want to live in, and you can embrace that. You can start. It can be a motivational tool as well. You see someone who's a millionaire, for example, and they're showing you their life story and they're showing you what they did to get there, and then you feel like, I can do that. But with that, like I said, here comes the balance part. But with that, it's important to remember the life that you have to lead. You shouldn't look down on that. Scrolling through that timeline can get discouraging, honestly, if you keep on looking at how great or how grand the life of other people, how great their lives are. Basically, you start to kind of look down on your own life in comparison, like you're not measuring up to everyone else, or those type of thoughts start to creep in. I feel like for most people, definitely for me. But behind those personalities and personas that are online, there's a real person going through very similar things to what you are, and you're not better than them, and they're no better than you at the end of the day. And I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this one because I was scrolling through Instagram, and I just started to think like, this is just so this is just so fake in a way. It's just I don't know. It just felt very artificial and very strange. And once you kind of take a step back and look at things from a holistic perspective, you start to see how how false the how false these platforms are, and how much time we spend in them, and how much of that time may be honestly a waste, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, just a quick little creativity kind of segment for this week's episode. I didn't want to go too deep into it, though. I just had very loose notes, and I thought I'd just let my mind kind of ramble and take me wherever it did. So if that seemed a little bit less organized or jumbled than how well, then again, I think my podcasts are always kind of jumbled. But if it sounded extra bad this week, I apologize. But I just kind of wanted a little I guess a venting session on that. I should probably get maybe a guest, and it'll be nice to kind of riff back and forth on that. I have some people I think who would have some pretty good opinions on that. But anyway, that's the creative segment for this week. Look at your social media life, your digital life, as you will, and you don't have to go just based on my opinions, of course. But at the same time, I think it's good to sometimes just take a step back, evaluate where you are in your real life, especially if your social media life and your real life are separate. If you're not using social media for like a business venture or whatever, evaluate where you are in your real life and think, is that satisfying to you? Are you paying too much attention to the digital world instead of the real world? Sit down and ask yourself those questions. And I think the answer may surprise a lot of people when you realize, wow, this it is kind of weird that I'm paying so much attention to this platform or this app or whatever when there's a whole world outside me that I'm not embracing, I'm not living. Um, just some food for thought. But anyway, I'm going to be right back, get some water because my mouth is super dry now. And I'll be discussing what's coming up in the next week and some things to be looking forward to. So be right back. And with the magic of editing, I have returned. But before I get into kind of wrapping things up and ending this episode, I do want to discuss a little bit of an entertainment segment for this week as well. So I kind of introduced this in last week's episode, and I think I want to keep on going with it. So let me just kind of briefly discuss some stuff in the entertainment and media realm real quick, which is, it's so funny that I'm saying this because I just finished going on like a diatribe against this whole thing, and now I'm just playing into it. Anyway, hypocrisy is great. So, in the entertainment, what has been going on? I've actually been listening to this new kind of story-based, plot-driven podcast called The Leviathan Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, and I think it's on other podcast streaming platforms as well. Really, really interesting story so far. I think I'm on like episode 9 or something. After I finished listening to, oh my goodness, Blackout, which was a newer kind of story based, plot driven podcast that just came out this past year. I felt very empty. I felt like I had to get like my story podcast fixed another way. So I kind of went searching around. I came up with, or I've just found the Leviathan Chronicles, and I've really been enjoying it so far. Like I said, plotline is pretty cool. Kind of like a science fiction, uh, futuristic type of plotline, but kind of mixed in with the normal modern day kind of scenery, I guess I could say, or backdrop. Really cool. Came out in like 2008, which is incredible because it really sounds like it could have came out this year, and I wouldn't have been mad at all. But really good. Make sure you check it out. If you're interested in that type of thing, make sure you check it out. I think you would. I think you'd really like it actually. Other than that, I've also been reading a lot more, which was a goal for this summer that I think I can't say I'm doing it as much as I should be, but I'm definitely plugging away towards the goal, which is, I mean, that's the best you can ask for at this point. So yeah, I've been reading a few novels, if you will. I've been just trying to clear out my iBook backlog of just books that I bought and I never read and just kind of read half of and not forget the plot and blah blah blah. So I'm doing that a little bit more. Um, which has been fulfilling. It feels good to, like I said, tear away from the social media and digital world and kind of get back to something a little bit more organic and basic, like reading. Granted, reading can also provide that same escape for blah, blah. I'm not gonna get back into it. But editing pictures has also been taking up a lot of my time. Like I was saying when the podcast first opened, I've been playing around with a lot of different things. So that's kind of been one form of entertainment over the past few days, just sitting behind my computer screen and messing around in Lightroom until I find something that looks cool. What else has been going on? I don't watch TV, so nothing to address there. Neither Netflix, Hulu, none of that. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the entertainment side of things. In terms of what's coming up next, let me wrap this podcast up so I can go to sleep. Gonna be filming the project that I'm working on in the next few days slash the next week. Photo shoots, plural, coming up in the next week as well. I think there's probably 2, 3 I'm gonna do this week. So fresh content coming up, and I think I want to take another trip back into the city and get some street scenes. I'm kind of getting bored with the wide open plains of Pennsylvania or rural Pennsylvania, I should say. So I think those are mainly what's going to be coming up this week. Also, I augmented my Instagram page a little bit, changed around the bio, made some changes to my highlights as well. So a little bit of tweaks there. If you haven't noticed, go check them out. I want to start separating up my content a little bit more. Making it a little bit more easily digestible and easily findable for you guys. The blog has been popping off well, so I'm definitely going to be continuing with that and pushing that a little bit more because I think I'm really enjoying the way my blog posts have been turning out. I think they could be helpful to people, but it's also been kind of cathartic to me as well. Almost like it's a great way to not necessarily heal, but just kind of express myself in a way that I normally don't do it. Like, of course, I do the podcast. I've been doing it for over a year now, or maybe I'm closing on 2 years. Who knows? But who knows? But whatever. But kind of writing it out and typing it out and being able to read back my thoughts, I'm just like, this is nice. I like this. Um, but yeah, I think I'll end it there. So that's been episode 23 of MugenCast. Make sure you tune into last week's episode, which I really like the way that one came out, called Out of Sight, Out of Mind. And like I said, we are now streaming on Spotify as well as iTunes. So check me out on either platform. Make sure you rate if you really enjoyed this episode. Comment. I'd love to hear what you guys had to say about the whole kind of creative fake versus reality discussion that I just had. I think it'd be kind of cool to get a discussion going. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked the episode. Make sure you tune back in next time. Peace.